Before we get into today's video, I just want to let you guys know that this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please remember to be kind to everybody everywhere, in your everyday life, in your home, in the grocery store, and especially in the comment section down below. Please do not show hate to anybody, anywhere. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody doing today? I hope you all are having an amazing day. I hope you all are having a wonderful week so far. I hope everybody's doing good and feeling great. So in today's video, y'all, I saw these photos going around online and started hearing about this story from a long time ago that it is rumored that the hit television show on Netflix is based around a true story. This is what I'm seeing online. So I started digging into it, and we're going to go into all of that today. So if y'all have watched Squid Games, the Netflix television show, stick with me here. Before we get into it, though, I did want to let you guys know, if you don't already know, hi, my name is Christina. I do have a second channel, which is Casually Christina. We just do things way more casual over there. I also have a Patreon. My Patreon's for 18 and up. And over there, we talk about more personal stuff. We go live over there. There's a $2 tier for all the true crime stuff that cannot go onto YouTube due to their terms and policies. That goes over on my Patreon under the $2 tier. Just make sure you read the full about section of what each tier offers before you join. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and I'm also on Like to Know It. And Like to Know It is a platform where you can find links to all the things that I like and use that y'all ask about, like this top, different jewelry, skincare, makeup, clothing items, literally anything and everything, cooking utensils, workout gear. I post those all over on my Like to Know It. And all of those platforms are linked down in the description box if you would like to come and check me out. So, okay, like I was saying, there has been some pretty interesting pictures circulating online recently that claim to show the real home that the Netflix show Squid Games is based on. Now, of course, in today's world, you really cannot automatically trust just everything that you see on the internet. And so I began to look into it and trying to find out whether these photos were real or not. And when I did, I came across some very interesting information and an intriguing story that I wanted to share with y'all. Before we get into it, though, let's talk about the show Squid Game. So Squid Game is a South Korean dystopian, survival thriller television series that was created, written, and directed by this guy right here, who did this for Netflix. The series revolved around a secret contest where 456 players, all of who are in deep financial hardship, risked their lives to play this risky game for a chance to win 45.6 billion Chinese dollars, which equals out to be 39.86 million US dollars. Now, without giving too many spoilers here, the story the first season where it starts out centers around a divorced father with a love for gambling who lives with his elderly mother and is invited by a random stranger to play a series of games for a chance to win a large cash prize. Now, given his circumstances, the father obviously accepts the offer and finds himself not only fighting for a chance to win this money, but also fighting for his life as well. The players are made to wear these green tracksuits and are kept under watch at all times by masked guards in pink jumpsuits. And not only are the games physically challenging, but they're also psychologically challenging as well. The writer actually wrote this story back in 2009, but he could not find a production company to fund the idea until Netflix became interested in 2019 because they were really wanting to expand their foreign, programming offerings. The first season of Squid Games was released in September of 2021 and gained international attention and praise. It actually became Netflix's most watched series and received multiple awards, including 6 Primetime Emmy Awards and 1 Golden Globe. Now, mind you, it was so popular that back then, our oldest son, who I believe he was probably around 20 at the time, watched it first and just loved it. And then when we all dressed up one year, we all dressed up as different characters from the show. Here's a photo of us here. Even the grandmas wore tracksuits. Now, the show look at the parent ratings and look at the reviews if you've never seen it before. I don't personally recommend it for small ones, but that's just me. It's a very, 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 very popular show. It's a game show, but there's some stuff that goes on in it, okay? But production for the second season began in July of 2023, and it was actually just released in December of last year, 2024. The third season was filmed right after filming for season 2 wrapped up, and so it's scheduled to be released this year of 2025. And if you've watched season 2, you already know that there's a season 3 coming soon. I won't spoil it for you, but if you watched it, then you know. Now, this writer claims that he thought of this idea based on his own struggles, as well as the class disparity in South Korea and capitalism. However, some have wondered if it's based on the true story of South Korea's Brothers' Home. Now, let me tell y'all about the Brothers' Home, okay? The Brothers' Home was located in Busan, South Korea, back in the 1970s and the 1980s. The camp was a home to some of the worst human rights atrocities South Korea has basically documented. Throughout the 1950s, the Republic of Korea struggled to recover from the devastation of the Korean War. Welfare policies during this period were mainly focused on the housing of orphans because they were seen as a stain on South Korea's national reputation. As time went on, though, the military decided that they wanted to cleanse society of these type of people that were seen as symbols of like poor or disabled. Basically, they were seemingly more concerned with how people who were less privileged, which was a lot of people, made the country look versus how they could help these people, okay? These policies were eventually expanded to cover the detention of what they called back then vagrants. At the same time, group homes were being built in the biggest cities to house the people that were deemed as these vagrants. By 1975, the South Korean Ministry of Home Affairs announced a directive that required cities and their local police departments to form vagrant patrol teams, which were to conduct regular patrols at least once a month. So basically, these patrol teams would go out in these vehicles and they would look for like homeless people or people that looked sick or people that made the country look bad or look stained, and they would take them. They would clean the streets up, but not the actual trash on the streets. The people, this is just all in my personal, unprofessional opinion in my own words, the people that they considered to be trash on the streets. The ministry had a pretty unspecific definition of what they would qualify somebody as a vagrant too, which is scary. Like, talk about, are you having a bad hair day? Are you not feeling well and you decided to go to the store and the vagrant people come by? You thrown in the back of a van, honey, and your family doesn't see you again. They just said anyone who prevented a healthy social order in society. So this gave local authorities a lot of room to determine who was one of these vagrants. Oh, you don't like your neighbor and you're on the vagrant team. Oh, your husband's been doing a little bit too flirting with his secretary and she comes out of work and she sneezes around. I mean, I'm exaggerating maybe, but that's like what it sounds like. Because of this, the local police were seen detaining panhandlers, people that were intoxicated, of course, thieves, abandoned or orphaned children, and of course, the disabled. In some cases, the police even took unattended children into custody without their parents' knowledge. So like maybe they were at a laundromat and the mother goes inside and her little one's sitting outside, and next thing you know, she comes outside and she can't find her kid. Arrested vagrants were distributed across 36 detention facilities across South Korea. Brothers' Home was the biggest one. Brothers' Home was also the first established in July of 1960 and was initially considered as an orphanage. Then by 1975, Brothers' Home signed a contract with the city of Busan and became one of the official vagrant detention centers. Now, it is said that this heavy enforcement of vagrancy was intensified by the South Korean government for the 1986 Asian Games and the 1988 Seoul Olympics. However, the atrocities that began to occur at the brothers' home didn't really start to come to light until August of 1982, when a man submitted a petition asking the government and the police to investigate his brother's mistreatment while he was at this home. Sadly, when the men went to meet with the director of the brothers' home, he was taken into custody for making false accusations. Yeah, he actually ended up spending 8 months in prison because of this. So he goes and tries to report to the authorities what's going on, and he ends up being imprisoned. But then, in December of 1986, a prosecutor began to investigate the brothers' home after hearing rumors from a local hunter that a group of labor workers were logging in a nearby mountain while being abused by guards with clubs. Now, by January, a full-blown search and seizure took place. The investigation, which included interviews of more than 100 inmates, guards, executives, all different people that worked at the center, it ended up concluding that the home's inmates, who were all mostly of sound mind, had been involuntarily transported to and detained by the center, where they were forced into unpaid labor. So they were snatched up off the street, completely sound mind, and forced to work for nothing. There's other words for that, but y'all get it, right? They were supposedly given identification numbers, okay? Kind of reminding you like of the Squid Game show. Their heads were shaved, and they were given matching dark blue tracksuits to wear. Again, sound familiar? Many investigations followed this first one. During them, more and more horrific things come out about this home. Inmates were often forced to stand in painful postures for long periods of times, and they were beaten if they could not stand still. They had them hang from their bunk beds upside down for long periods of time until their faces began to swell from the blood pooling. They even had them play games that would end in them pulling their own teeth out. Yes, the younger little ones, the younger inmates, were often victims of SA by the officers. And some of them, mostly girls, were sent out of the country for adoption. It has been discovered that most of these girls had living biological parents, but were given false papers to show that they were orphans so they could be adopted out, which really meant sold for money. It has also been reported that the inmates, if you can really call them inmates, most of them were innocent people that were taken off the street for whatever reason, were fed antipsychotics with their tiny portions of food as a form of chemical restraints. Survivors of the brothers' home have alleged that there was a close cooperation between the home and the Protestant church. One former survivor reported being forced to perform in Christian plays for local and international guests. Another was actually sent to the home by somebody who claimed to be a Christian missionary. And I say claim to be because obviously, if they're doing things like this, whatever, But they say that the person said that they were forced to write letters on behalf of the church asking for donations. The director of the brothers' home would often preach at the church, which was built by the forced labor of the people being detained at the brothers' home. Can you believe that? This man was at the brothers' home while all this was going on. Again, little recap, people being hung upside down. These are not prisoners, okay? These are not people. Some of them were thieves. Some of them were caught doing things on the streets, right? But not all of them. Some of them they're hung upside down, heads swollen with blood, made them play games where they had to pull out their own teeth, everything that was happening to the younger inmates. And then the person that's over it is the preacher, is going and giving a word, speaking over people. Terrifying. Reports say less than 10% of the people that were detained at the home were actually living on the streets when they were taken in. Yeah, less than 10%. Reports also estimate that a total of 657 people died inside the brothers' home from 1975 to 1988, which is only 13 years. Their bodies were buried or cremated in secret, or they were ended up being sold to nearby hospitals for money. Now, the director, after this investigation went on, was eventually sentenced, and you would think for life, right? He was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison, and not even for the horrific things that happened at the home, but for embezzlement and corruption. Yeah. After serving his time, the director and his wife went on to move to Australia and start a church and other businesses there. Again, terrifying. In July of 2003, the Social Welfare Services Act was reformed to legislate the classification of the homeless as separate from vagrants. Then, in 2011, the term vagrants was removed entirely from South Korean law. Now, while the writer of Squid Game, the television show, has never mentioned specifically the brother home as inspiration for the show, but there definitely seems to be some similarities. Most notably, the tracksuits, the location, the treatment of the participants, the numbers on the tracksuits. A lot of things are very, very similar. As for the photos that have been going around, and here they are again, it seems as though they are AI generated. But how spooky would it be if they were real? Especially because the color of the walls looks like the set of Squid Game. So do you think that the writer may have used Brothers Home as an inspiration? I do. I think it's a situation where who knows what he knows, who knows his personal connection or anything like that. I feel like it's the same way even here in America, where we have certain producers that are putting out movies now that we can kind of read in between the lines, but also if they straight out say what it's about, their movies will not be pushed out to being advertised to us. I kind of think it's very similar, but who really knows? I also think because of the photos that seem to be AI generated, and man, they look awfully real, even though they seem to be AI generated. It's very interesting because when you think back to the Hello Kitty murder, and if you've never heard of it, I have a video of it on my channel. I'll put the thumbnail right here so you guys can go and find it if you want to watch it. The way that the walls and the rooms and things that were set up in that place where that situation happened, it wouldn't surprise me if certain areas of the brothers' home were painted in vibrant colors and weird stuff like that too. So what do y'all think? Have y'all heard about this? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Other than that, I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching this video, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Love you guys. Bye.